All right, hello. New day, same shirt. This is really comfy to work in, so this is what I'm going to sew in today. In case you ever think that you're ever going to stop pricking yourself with pins, let me tell you, I have been sewing for over 20 years and I still haven't stopped. I just grabbed my entire handful of pins by accident. Oh, it's a tragedy, but at least you're still here, still alive, and still sewing. So that's that. Alright, so a lot of the time when you have coats, it's easier anyway, to hang it up if you've got a mannequin in dress form, even if it's just like your friend standing for a little bit. Pin it, pin the coat, and then pin the collar while it's on this stand. Simply because otherwise it doesn't quite sit right when you go to show it or when you iron it out so that you can see your collar right. And it's just easier, put the wrong side of the fabric or the right side of the fabric out and then just pin everything where it's going to go and then just sew it in like you would normally. All right, so here I am. I have finished the collar on the shoulders and I am finished the sleeves, but I am moving on to the shoulder pads. Now, I could buy the shoulder pads, but they were a little expensive and I wanted to experiment with making my own anyway. So here's my square, which is 7 inches by 7 inches. And I've just marked it down the middle like this because this is going to make one shoulder pad and this is going to make the other. Now I've pinned the corners to make them stay put and I'm going to pinch them down while I sew with these handy little hair clips. And because I'm going to hand stitch this in pad stitching. And for those of you who don't know, trust me, there's lots and lots of videos online. I'm just going to show you the finished product. See you when I get back. Okay, so on the inside of my pad here, I'm just going to show you, is a bit of polyester fiberfill, which I can get from Fabricland, Michaels, Walmart, like everybody carries it. And it's just the stuffing that you use to put in stuffies and pillows and things. I mean, you can use old pillows or old scraps, any little cotton batting things. I mean, you could also use pieces, just a lot and a lot and a lot. There's like natural fibers, cotton, polyester, all kinds of things. But I'm just using my polyester because I had it around the house. And this little cute stitch right here is going to be a pad stitch. And it's just a little V. And it marks on the back here with little V stitches, and on the back side here, all these big stitches. And I'm going to make rows of V's up and down here and work my way to the edges here to make it easier. And I'm going to try to just keep this from getting too puckered or anything. I'm not going to make any lumps if I can manage it, and I'm just going to steadily work my way across. And I will show you when I get there. So here's my 2 shoulder pads. I've cut them apart already, but I literally just followed that nice little line that I drew before. And I just cut that apart and poof, I have my shoulder pad. It's a little thicker in the middle here, nice and thin and out to the edges. And this'll, once I stitch it into place, this'll flatten out a little bit. Now I'm gonna head and trim this in kind of a bit of a rounded formation. And then I'm going to seal it with another square of the same material, same measurement, because I'm just going to trim all of this like right down to my basting line, basically. And then I'm going to cover it up, retrim the corners, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, and here we are finished. Now, I have one edge that's a little smaller and one edge that's a little bigger, and I've done that on purpose so that I remember to lay this one on the left shoulder and this part be at the back and this part be at the front, because I want a little less in the front just because I don't want to have it puff up in specific places. Now, once I pin this into the seams, it'll make more sense. Okay, so I've got my pads in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack a couple stitches here, because this is my mock-up and I'm going to take these shoulder pads out and use them in my actual coat. And they're also going to be sewn in under the lining, so this edging that you can see doesn't matter because it's going to be enfolded in a lining and no one's ever going to see it. I'm just going to tack these into place in a couple of places by hand, and when I do it in my coat, I'm also going to go in and do this by hand because I'm going to take this and I'm just going to base stitch this onto this fabric just so that it stays in the seam on this side, and then this I'm going to close tack it so that you don't get a lot of pulls on it or anything. And it's a good thing I'm using twill for this because trust me, no one's going to see it through the twill. But usually I would tack them in place by hand anyway, simply because otherwise it could get weird little wrinkles and puffs from your sewing machine. It's just easier later for fitting and everything, especially if you're doing this to a blouse or something lightweight like this. You would want this to be as invisible as you can. So I'm going to tack it in by hand. Okay. So we have come to the part where I have now discovered almost all of this is going to be hand sewn. This underseam is going to get machine sewn, but this is all going to get hand sewn. The buttons are going to get hand sewn. And then I'm not doing my lining on my mock-up because now that I understand the pattern, I'm going to do it for real. It's fine. But the pieces I have are these facings, and those will finish off my beautiful coat here. And it'll finish off, and I know that. And the buttons, and I mean, I have a working pocket in this sorry for the bad lighting, but it is a working pocket, even if it is out of this nylon material. But it's really cute, and I really like it, and I think I'm going to keep this little mock-up for a little while, because it'll be fun. But I'm not going to finish it, because really, that's not really needed right now. I'm going to keep the pieces in case I do want to finish it, just in case I want to do a cosplay as a mock-up or something. Who knows? I mean, whatever. And this material will keep as this, and when I go to use it, if I want to use it when it's scrapped, I can just cut it up and put it in a little cup, and there's a thing to be said for mason jars. So I'm gonna go and cut out my actual pieces now. And wish me luck, because fur is not fun to cut. Okay, I'm sorry. One more little side note. I'm gonna show you what I've done to my pattern so that I will be able to remember what I did for my mock-up later. So here is my pattern, and as you can see, I've written myself a whole bunch of notes. I've left little symbols, I've colored it in, I've got all my information, well, maybe not on that page, but it's mostly on these pages that the actual instructions are on. The way that I need to iron my seams is all labeled out, and I've got trimming notes and anything that's going to help me move from taking this pattern and this mock-up and doing it for real with the fabric without wasting a bunch of time like I did with this mock-up, which is why you do the mock-up. I do the mock-up just so that I can do the mistakes and waste time on a piece that I know I'm either not going to finish or not going to need, because then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm really glad I didn't have to unpick all of these stitches or all of these seams out of twill or fur or, heaven forbids, chiffon. No, thank you. So if I was doing something that lightweight, I would do it by hand because I hate that stuff. So since I don't want to undo any twill, I don't want to undo any fur, I did this one, and it's really nice. It's kind of cute, and I'm really looking forward to this Dalmatianized awesomeness. All right, let's get back to normal cutting.